At this level, the city is one big button, and it has a very simple menu. If I want to go in and actually go in and still modify the cities, I'm still building Paris while they're attacking it. I can still zoom in and click the individual buildings and bring them into the editor and stuff. So basically, you play this game, the Civ, game, and slowly conquer the world, city by city, continent by continent, until pretty much you have owned this entire little world and built it on the way. So that's that. So here's our little toy world again. Now I wanted this to feel like a very clock-like toy world. So you'll notice it actually is very exaggerated, but in a kind of a stylistic way. I'm going to go back to our little city here, see how they're doing. We have a crater where that building used to be. In the vehicle editor, there's one more slot that over time we could eventually unlock as we're playing through the game. We started with ground vehicles, water, air, underwater, and at this point, I can now buy what we call the UFO. And I'm just going to buy a stock one. I could have brought this in the vehicle editor as well. Now, this basically becomes your Swiss Army knife at this point. This becomes the representation of all your kind of tools and abilities in the game. This guy is very fast, very mobile. He can go anywhere on the planet in no time at all. Now, there was another landmark that really kind of inspired me at this level. Just a little short side story here. There was this show I used to watch as a kid all the time. It was called The Mutual of Omaha's Wildlife Kingdom. How many of you saw that show? Oh, yeah. So it had Marlon Perkins and this other dude, I forgot his name. But they would go around, every episode was them saving some wild endangered animal, or studying it or something. But what I loved about the show was that every week almost, the way that they chose to solve the problem, their environmental problem, almost always involved a high-powered tranquilizer gun and a helicopter. And so I'd watch the whole show just for the scene at the end where the guy's in the helicopter hanging out, trying to get, going through the herd, nabbing the guy. So that was something that I really wanted with my UFO here. And so UFO really, one of the things it is, it's a content creation tool. So I can go around looking for something. Let's see. Oh, these are the guys that were beating up on us way back. Now it's time for us to get our revenge. Okay, if I can get over to him. This is a little tricky. Whoa, got him. Yes. So here, this is basically a little abduction beam, and that guy's too fast for me. Oh, I don't want to tank. No way. I get that guy. Oh, man, they're hard to get. Well, I guess one will do. So I can use this to go around the world sucking up content. And as you might have guessed, I can also use my UFO to kind of go further out, and further out, and further out, and further out, and further out. So here's our little local solar system. A few comets, there's our sun. We have hot planets near the sun. This is our home planet that we actually evolved on. And then way out here we have some cold planets. We can click on any planet, kind of go over to it, and we can actually take our UFO there to investigate. These planets really represent like little sandboxes for the player. So as we pull up to this moon, you notice geologically it's very different than where we came from, than our home planet. It's much further away from the sun. Now, one of the things I want to do with this thing is I actually want to kind of bootstrap it up to life, and basically build a whole flourishing, civilization on this. And I might do a very different style too. So you can view these as like different palettes that I have to work with. So one of the things I want to do is I want to try to get life on this planet to live and kind of bootstrap it up. I'm going to come down to the surface here, really quick. Now, I'm going to try dropping that guy I just took out. Can anybody tell me why that happened? If we can bring up the volume a little bit on this machine. Yeah, that's good. So we had a little problem there, and we have no atmosphere. Okay. So what we really want to do is we want to make this world livable. Now, at this level, another one of my kind of landmarks was an old thing called Kid Pigs. How many of you played Kid Pigs? I wanted this to feel like Kid Pigs, basically. What I loved about Kid Pigs is you had all these cool, weird, wacky, creative tools, and they were always out of your control. I mean, you always did these unexpected, oops, I didn't mean to do that type of thing. And I wanted the terraforming to kind of feel like that as well. So I'll pick one of my terraforming tools. And these are things that you earn for the UFO. You're actually increasing your UFO's ability over time, and there are lots and lots of tools and different ladders. So we'll fire a little volcano tool. And so this is actually sculpting the surface of the planet directly. And pumping atmosphere in there. Now, over time, these will actually start developing a thicker and thicker atmosphere on the planet. But in the meantime, I can actually start building colonies here, even while I'm waiting for that. So, pick a spot, zoom in. When I build a colony now, at this point, I get kind of the style that I had on my home world. But it has a bubble over it. This, by the way, is also what I would get if I were to build, at this point, a city underwater. So at this point, this level of technology, I can start colonizing the oceans on my home planet, and they would have bubbles as well. Now, this kind of takes a while. Now, once I terraform the planet, I won't need to build bubble cities, and I can actually build very elaborate kind of colonies that are earning me money to help me upgrade my UFO. That's kind of the real loop going on here. We have a little cheat here. You know, this is at the very high levels of the game. You'll eventually be able to afford the what we call the Genesis device. So this will very rapidly, if you notice the ground texture, you see things are starting to green up a bit. We're getting a little bit of atmosphere. As the storm clouds pull back a bit. So we are actually trying to bootstrap up the atmosphere, and then there's the biosphere score. So once you get a little bit of an atmosphere, you start then bringing in plants, probably that you've harvested from your home planet, and then you can actually start living there. So it's like a kind of a three-way colonization game, terraforming game. But really, we want players to be extremely creative, kind of with what they build here. So let's pull away from this guy. So now it's kind of green. That's a happy little place. Now our guy's there. So everything's good. As I mentioned, the UFO has a lot of different levels that you can advance on, the different tools that you add. One of the more expensive things that you really have to kind of work in here for a while and build some usable colonies, earn a lot of money, but eventually you earn the interstellar drive. And so we pull out again. Now, this is our home planet here. We call this the stellar zoo. In fact, we want to have all of the real things that you would see in space. One thing that's always really annoyed me about the way astronomy is presented is it's presented as two-dimensional. If you look at star maps like that, I mean, that's the way astronomy is taught. But yet it's this beautifully three-dimensional thing, and you just are not given the sense of what that's like. We have these beautiful images from Hubble, and we're never given any context for how big they are, where they live, how frequent we see them in space. And I really wanted to, at this level, give a player a real sense of what it feels like to be out in the galaxy. So we have things like black holes. Back here. We have planetary nebula. And this is basically an old supernova shell. These very bright stars are like blue giants, and in fact are going to go supernova fairly soon. So I have to kind of stay away from those. So there's actually a terrain here for this. This is the Missum nebula back here, where new stars are formed. But also, at this level, we have a SETI tool. I can roll the mouse over different planets and listen to them. If I'm listening for radio chatter, I'm actually trying to discover other intelligence. Oh, there we go. What is that? There we go.